Dark Elf's Chosen, Season 2, Episode 7, by Celeste King.
Previously on Dark Elf's Chosen.
Help him.
We've got company.
Elijah, why?
You won't get away with this.
Don't want to wait for the next episode to drop?
Maybe you're tired of YouTube cutting the good stuff.
Either way, grabbing the full Dark Elf's Chosen series from worldsofprathika.com is exactly the answer you're looking for.
Get 30% off with code YouTube30 and listen at a discount.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop, and like this video to keep the free full audiobooks flowing.
Thank you for choosing Celeste King Season 2 of Dark Elf's Chosen.
Chapter 43. Savannah. I wake to the metallic taste of blood in my mouth and a dull ache throbbing through my limbs. My vision blurs, the dim light flickering overhead doing little to help. Blinking hard, I force my eyes to focus. Shapes come into view, shifting shadows that resolve into towering forms, minotaurs. Their large bodies move with a predatory grace, circling something, or someone, on the ground. Julius. My heart clenches at the sight of him, surrounded and defenceless. Pity about our other minotaur friend. One of the minotaurs sneers, his voice a low rumble. I hate he's going to miss the best part. Razdin is dead. My heart breaks as my stomach churns. What little hope I had that we might have gotten out of here is suddenly extinguished. Julius's face is pale, eyes darting around for an escape that isn't there. He looks up and sees me, and I witness the fleeting happiness he has that I am awake. Our gazes locking for a brief, desperate moment before a heavy boot slams into his side, breaking our connection. "Leave him alone!" The words rasp from my throat, raw and weak. A few minotaurs glance my way but don't pause in their assault. One grabs Julius by the collar, lifting him like he weighs nothing. "Think you can save her?" The minotaur's laughter echoes through the chamber. "You couldn't even save your little minotaur friend." Julius struggles against his grip, but to no avail. I strain against my bonds, every fibre of my being screaming to get free and help him. The room spins as I try to gather what little magic I have left. My hands glow faintly before flickering out, frustration bubbling inside me. Not now. Not when he needs me most. A blow lands on Julius's cheek, sending him sprawling on the cold stone floor. He coughs up blood but manages to glare at his captors with defiance. I focus on his face, trying to will strength into him from afar. Julius. His name slips past my lips like a prayer. One of the minotaurs notices my struggle and strides over, leaning down so his massive head fills my vision. "Got something to say?" "Let him go," I manage through gritted teeth. He chuckles darkly before straightening up and turning back to Julius. "Looks like your girl's got more fight than you do." They close in tighter around Julius, their intentions clear and brutal. I bite down on my panic, searching for any glimmer of magic left within me. One of the minotaurs steps forward, its expression menacing. The light catches the blade of his sword, making it glint wickedly. He raises it high, and my heart lurches into my throat. "Julius!" I scream, the sound tearing from my chest. The sword descends in a swift, brutal arc. Julius twists, but not fast enough. The blade slices across his neck, leaving a shallow cut that oozes dark red blood. Julius clutches at the wound with his bound hands, his eyes wide with shock and pain. "No!" I thrash against my bonds, ignoring the rawness of my wrists. Desperation fuels my efforts as I pull and twist, trying to break free. Julius's eyes meet mine again. He tries to speak, but only a strangled gurgle escapes his lips. The sight of him, bleeding and helpless, ignites something fierce within me. The minotaur who cut him grins savagely. "This is just the beginning," he says, voice dripping with malice. I close my eyes and focus on trying to summon the faint flicker of magic inside me. It's weak, almost non-existent, but I have to try. I picture Julius's face, his strength, his love. I draw on that image, willing it to give me power. When I open my eyes, I look to Julius and see his eyes flicker with a faint glow, the remnants of his magic sparking to life. His hand trembles as he raises it, the other putting pressure on his throat, his fingers splayed out towards the minotaur who looms over him. The air hums with tension, and I can almost feel the struggle within him as he pulls on his dwindling reserves. The ground beneath the minotaur begins to shudder. Cracks spiderweb out from Julius's hand, and a low rumble vibrates through the floor. The minotaur's sneer falters as he looks down, confusion flashing across his brutish features. "What?" He doesn't get to finish. The floor crumbles beneath his hooves, the stone giving way with a groan. The minotaur drops with a startled bellow, arms flailing as he tries to catch himself. Julius collapses onto one knee, gasping for breath. The effort of using his magic has clearly taken its toll, and I can see the strain etched into every line of his face. But he doesn't let up. He clenches his jaw and forces himself to his feet, eyes locked onto me with a fierce determination. Chapter 44. Savannah. Chaos surrounds me. The chamber's walls seem to close in, trapping us in this nightmare. I see Julius, his face a mask of determination and pain. He fights, but he needs help. My help. I focus on the minotaurs, their massive forms lumbering towards Julius. My heart races and I try to channel my magic. The familiar tingling sensation starts in my fingertips, but fizzles out before it can form into anything useful. "Come on!" I mutter through gritted teeth, willing my magic to obey. Julius stumbles back as one of the minotaurs swings a heavy axe at him. He dodges, barely avoiding the deadly blade. My panic spikes. I stretch out my hand, envisioning a barrier of light to protect him. Nothing happens. "Julius." My voice cracks with desperation. He glances at me, his eyes filled with both relief and fear. "I've got this," he shouts back, though the lie is evident in his strained voice. I refuse to be useless. Closing my eyes, I try to summon the power within me again. The air around me hums faintly, but it's not enough. Not nearly enough. A minotaur charges at Julius, who raises his hand to conjure another spell. His fire flickers weakly before extinguishing completely. He's running out of time, and so am I. I picture the magic that saved me before, willing it to work now when we need it most. Sweat beads on my forehead as I strain every fibre of my being to make it happen. Still nothing. "Why now?" I whisper to myself, feeling the weight of helplessness crush me. The minotaurs close in on Julius from all sides once again. His movements slow as exhaustion overtakes him. My frustration boils over, tears stinging my eyes. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Desperation drives me to try one last time. I thrust my hand forward, hoping for even a spark of power, anything that might save him. But all I get is emptiness. Julius glances back at me once more, and our eyes lock for a brief second that feels like an eternity. The fear and sorrow in his gaze mirror my own. I've failed him when he needs me most. A shadow looms over me. I look up just in time to see a minotaur charging, weapon raised high. Every muscle in my body tenses. I can almost feel the impact before it even happens. No, this can't be the end. I try to move, but my legs feel like they're encased in stone. My mind races through 1,000 thoughts at once. I think of Julius, fighting desperately against overwhelming odds. I think of Mara, her fierce loyalty and sharp instincts. I think of the life growing inside me, a secret that now feels both precious and fragile. "Move, Savannah!" I scream inside my head. But my body doesn't respond, fear making me frozen. The Minotaur's axe glints menacingly as it descends. Time seems to slow, every heartbeat a deafening drum in my ears. The air feels thick with tension, and the scent of sweat and blood fills my nostrils. Just as the axe is about to connect, a massive form barrels into the Minotaur, knocking him off balance. Razdin, shock wars with relief as he uses his immense strength to push the attacker back with impressive force. The Minotaur staggers, momentarily disoriented. Razdin takes advantage of the opening, slamming his shoulder into the enemy's chest and sending him sprawling across the chamber floor. "Stay down!" Razdin roars, his voice echoing off the stone walls. Julius manages to get back on his feet, his eyes wide. "Razdin?" "No time," Razdin growls, turning to face the other Minotaurs who are now advancing on us with renewed aggression. "Get ready." I scramble to my feet, my legs still shaky, but no longer paralysed by fear. Razdin's intervention has bought us precious seconds, but we need more than that to survive this. The Minotaur he knocked down struggles to rise, fury burning in his eyes. Razdin doesn't give him a chance to recover. He lunges forward and lands a powerful kick to the Minotaur's midsection, sending him crashing back down. "Are you okay?" Julius asks me, his voice tight with concern as he positions himself between me and the advancing threat. "Yes," I manage to say, my voice shaky but determined. "Just be careful." Razdin's presence bolsters our defence. His powerful frame barrels through the Minotaurs with ferocity. Each swing of his fists or kick of his legs sends our attackers reeling. He moves like a force of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. Julius sidesteps another Minotaur's wild swing, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "Razdin, I thought you were dead." Razdin lets out a grunt as he lands a devastating blow to a Minotaur's jaw. "So did I," he retorts with a sly grin. "But Death and I have an agreement. He stays away from me." "Could have fooled me," Julius pants, dodging another attack. "You look like you were aiming for bloodiest Minotaur corpse ever." Razdin laughs, a deep rumble that echoes through the chamber. "Well, I'm back from the dead to save your sorry hide. Again." "Just try not to die for real this time," Julius retorts, summoning what little strength he has left to hurl a small fireball at an advancing Minotaur. The flame sputters out before it reaches its target, and Julius curses under his breath. "Don't worry," Razdin calls over his shoulder as he tackles another Minotaur to the ground. "Even if I do, I'm taking all of these bastards with me." The Minotaur fighting Razdin snarls at his comment, and I gasp as he swings his axe straight for Razdin's head. Razdin knocks it away, kicking his attacker in the gut and finishing him off with a powerful blow to the head. "Good to know," Julius says, managing a weary smile. He follows Razdin's lead, kicking another Minotaur's legs from under him before he finishes him off with his own hammer. Razdin roars as he swings his massive arm, sending two more Minotaurs sprawling. "You owe me a drink after this." Julius laughs despite the dire situation, shaking his head. "Deal." As the battle rages on, Razdin's confidence and strength give me hope that we might just make it out of here alive. I focus on staying close to Julius, ready to support him in any way I can. The chamber fills with the sounds of clashing weapons and grunts of exertion. Despite the chaos, a strange sense of camaraderie binds us together. A dark elf, a Minotaur, and a human fighting side by side against overwhelming odds. Julius, though weakened, fights with a tenacity that takes my breath away. He dodges and parries, his movements fluid despite the exhaustion evident in his eyes. Every now and then, he glances my way, as if to make sure I'm still there, still safe. My heart pounds in my chest from the close call. The adrenaline surges through me, making everything sharper. The clang of weapons, the grunts of effort, the smell of sweat and fear. Razdin roars again, this time in pain as a Minotaur's blade slices across his arm. He grits his teeth and retaliates with a punch that echoes like thunder against the stone walls. The injured Minotaur crumples to the ground, Razdin! Julius shouts, worry etched on his face. I'm fine. Razdin growls back, not missing a beat as he tackles another attacker. The room feels like it's spinning with action. I can't tear my eyes away from Julius. His determination is palpable, every movement a testament to his will to survive and protect us. Even in the midst of chaos, there's something almost beautiful about it. The Minotaurs keep coming, their sheer size and strength overwhelming. Yet Razdin and Julius hold their ground. They fight not just for survival, but for each other, for all of us. I clutch at my chest, trying to steady my breathing. Relief washes over me in waves each time they fend off an attack. My gaze flits from Julius to Razdin, a mix of shock and awe filling me. Julius blocks a blow aimed at Razdin's head with a quick flick of his wrist. Razdin nods in acknowledgement before delivering a devastating kick to another opponent. My heart pounds harder. We've been through so much already, secrets and struggles threatening to tear us apart. But right now, we are united by one goal: survival. The fight rages on around us, but all I can focus on is them, my brave warrior and our unexpected ally, fighting side by side against overwhelming odds. If someone had told me a month ago that I would be running for my life instead of sitting in the stuffy classroom of the bordello, preparing to be sold off to indoor, I would have laughed.
The forest is not your safe space, little one.
But there's no avoiding my fate.
It's you. You're the one.
I've spent my entire life training to be the perfect bride for the top-bidding dark elf. So much can change in so little time.
You understand why you're being punished, right, child?
Your blood. It sings to me.
Please, let me out of here.
You need to learn your place.
But what are you? Where are you taking me?
Run!
I'm a bringer of death.
No, you're not dying. I won't let you.
You won't be able to get out.
Let me go, please.
Sadie, I will make you mine. Chapter 45. Julius. The world snaps into focus as Razdin charges at the towering Minotaur. Blood streaks down his side, staining his red fur darker. His horns glint under the flickering torchlight. He's a whirlwind of muscle and rage, slamming into his opponent with a force that shakes the ground beneath us. You should have stayed dead, the Minotaur growls, swinging an axe aimed for Razdin's head. Razdin ducks, narrowly avoiding the blade. Not my style, he retorts, his voice tight with pain but steady. He throws a punch that lands square on the Minotaur's jaw, the impact echoing through the cavernous room. The Minotaur recovers quickly, retaliating with a brutal headbutt that sends Razdin staggering back. He stumbles but doesn't fall, gritting his teeth and pushing forward again. The determination in his eyes is unwavering. He's fighting not just for himself, but for me, for Savannah. With a roar, Razdin charges again, tackling the Minotaur to the ground. They roll in a tangle of limbs in fury, each trying to gain the upper hand. The sound of their struggle fills the air, grunts of effort, the clash of weapons against armor, the thud of fists meeting flesh. Razdin lets out a pained growl as the Minotaur lands a solid punch to his ribs. He retaliates with a swift kick to the knee, bringing his opponent down with a sickening crunch. The injured Minotaur roars in agony but doesn't relent, swiping at Razdin with renewed ferocity. Injuries be damned. Razdin fights on with an almost reckless abandon. He blocks another swing from the axe with his forearm, blood splattering across his face, but not slowing him down one bit. My breath catches as Razdin manages to pin the Minotaur beneath him, wrenching the axe from its grip and tossing it aside. Stay down, he growls through clenched teeth. The Minotaur beneath him snarls and thrashes, but Razdin's grip remains ironclad. With a final surge of strength, he slams his fist into the Minotaur's temple, knocking him unconscious. Razdin doesn't waste a second. He scrambles to his feet and darts towards a nearby alcove, giving himself a moment of shelter amongst the attack. "Julius!" he calls out, voice strained and urgent. I shove a minotaur out of the way, every muscle screaming in protest. My eyes lock onto Razdan as he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, shimmering band, the artifact we've been searching for. Julius is stunned as he sees the artifact, just as Razdan explained it, in Razdan's hand. He asks how Razdan got it, and Razdan replies, "There are some benefits to being assumed dead, my friend." I stand there, frozen. The binding band of Aurelia gleams in Razdan's hand, exactly as he described. Its iridescent glow pulses with a life of its own, casting a surreal light over the chaos around us. "How?" My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, filled with disbelief and awe. Razdan's lips curl into a wry smile. "There are some benefits to being assumed dead, my friend." His words hang in the air, an odd mix of humor and gravity. I can't quite process it. One moment he's nearly gutted, the next he's holding our salvation. You found it?" I stammer, my mind struggling to catch up. My eyes flicker from the artifact to Razdan's determined face. "You saved us," I murmur, more to myself than him. His grin widens. "Don't get too sentimental on me now." A sudden crash snaps us back to reality. Another minotaur barrels toward us, eyes blazing with fury. Razdan's movements are swift despite his injuries. He launches the artifact towards me. The metallic band arcs through the air, spinning like a thrown blade. My heart pounds as I reach out, fingers stretching towards it. The moment seems to stretch into eternity, each heartbeat a thunderous drum in my ears. The artifact, a shimmering metallic band, unrolls midair and wraps around my arm, pulsating with a radiant glow. It tightens, snug and unyielding. Warmth spreads from the band, seeping into my skin and coursing through my veins. I grit my teeth as the sensation intensifies, a surge of energy rushing through my body. The band's runes ignite, casting intricate patterns of light on the cavern walls. Each pulse sends a wave of strength through me, pushing back the darkness that has plagued me for so long. Time seems to stand still as the artifact works its magic on me. The moment the band tightens around my arm, a warmth spreads from the point of contact, traveling up my arm and into my chest. It's like a rush of molten gold flowing through my veins, igniting every nerve it touches. My skin prickles with energy, the sensation both exhilarating and overwhelming. My heart pounds in my chest, each beat resonating with the pulses of light emanating from the runes on the band. They glow brighter, casting intricate patterns that dance across the cavern walls. I feel a strange connection to these runes, as if they are speaking directly to my soul. The warmth intensifies, spreading further into my body. It's not just heat. It's a sense of strength returning to muscles that had grown weak and weary. My limbs feel lighter, the fatigue that has plagued me for so long, melting away like snow under a spring sun. I can almost feel the black veins receding, the darkness being pushed back by this radiant force. A sharp pain pierces through me as the artifact works deeper. It feels like needles pricking every inch of my skin, but I welcome it. This pain is different. It's purifying, burning away the corruption that has been eating at my magic. I grit my teeth and endure it, knowing this is necessary for my restoration. My senses sharpen, the world around me becoming more vivid and clear. I can hear Razdan's labored breaths and the distant clash of metal against metal as our allies continue their fight. The air smells of sweat and blood, mingling with an underlying scent of ancient magic emanating from the band. The runes pulse faster now, their rhythm syncing with my heartbeat. Each pulse sends a fresh wave of energy coursing through me, repairing what has been broken and rekindling the flame within me. My hands glow faintly as I flex my fingers, feeling the familiar tingle of magic returning. The artifact is not just restoring my strength, it's amplifying it. I can sense a wellspring of power within me, deeper and more potent than before. The band hums with life, resonating with my very essence. For a brief moment, I close my eyes and let myself be consumed by this sensation. It's like being reborn, every part of me renewed and fortified. When I open them again, I know without a doubt that I am whole once more. The binding band of Aurelia has done its work, and as its glow fades to a steady shimmer, I feel ready to face whatever comes next. The pain subsides, replaced by a burning determination. My limbs no longer feel heavy. Instead, they hum with newfound power. I glance at Savannah, her eyes wide with hope and fear. She's counting on me, on us, to get out of here alive. I summon a flame spell, expecting the usual sputter and fizzle. Instead, a roaring inferno bursts from my palm, illuminating the cavern in brilliant orange light. The heat is intense but controlled, bending to my will like an old friend returning home. Razdan grins despite his injuries. Looks like you're back in business. Just in time, I reply, my voice steadier than it's been in days. Our reprieve ends with the roaring of a minotaur that charges at us, its eyes burning with rage. "That does not belong to you!" he shouts, his voice echoing in the chamber. I hurl the fireball without hesitation, watching it collide with the minotaur's chest and explode in a shower of sparks. The beast howls in agony before collapsing to the ground. Savannah hurries over to me, clasping my hand with a firm grip. "Julius, are you—" "I'm good," I interrupt her softly but decisively. "Stay back." She nods, resolve taking over her anxiety. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, hope surges within me. We can do this. We will get out of here. Together. "Let's finish this," I say, my voice ringing with newfound confidence. Savannah squeezes my hand once more before letting go and readying herself for whatever comes next. Razdan straightens up, his gaze fierce and unwavering despite his wounds. The battle isn't over yet, but at least now we have a fighting chance.
Chapter 46. Savannah. I barely catch my breath as Razdan hurls the artifact towards Julius. The metallic band unrolls mid-air, wrapping around his arm and glowing with an intensity that sends a shiver down my spine. Julius's eyes flare with renewed power, the familiar warmth of his fire magic crackling to life in his palms. He clenches his fists, and the floor beneath one of the charging minotaurs suddenly crumbles away, sending the beast tumbling into a hidden pit. I watch, heart pounding, as Julius turns his focus to another attacker, flames bursting from his hands and licking at the minotaur's legs. The creature roars in pain but continues its assault, albeit more cautiously. The ropes and chains still bind him, restricting his movement and his magic, but they can't contain all of it. With a flick of his wrist, he sends a jet of fire spiraling towards another minotaur, forcing it to retreat. His tactics are underhanded and clever, using the environment to his advantage. Since the minotaurs are resistant to direct magic, he's making the ground treacherous and setting traps with his flames. A minotaur lunges at him from behind, but Julius twists just in time to unleash a bolt of fire that engulfs its arm. The beast howls and stumbles back, giving Julius a moment's reprieve. Sweat glistens on his forehead as he fights, every movement calculated and precise despite the restraints. Julius grits his teeth, eyes narrowing as he takes in the chaos around us. The anti-magic shackles clink with every movement, a cruel reminder of his limitations. "Damn these shackles," he mutters, voice strained but determined. He doesn't let them hinder him for long. Julius twists his body to avoid a sweeping blow from a massive axe. With a swift kick, he sends a pile of debris crashing down on another minotaur. The beast stumbles, disoriented by the sudden avalanche of stone and wood. Another minotaur charges at him, but Julius sidesteps with an almost graceful ease, flames flickering to life in his palm. He directs the fire towards the ground at the minotaur's feet, creating a circle of flames that forces it to back away. "They think they're so clever," Julius snarls under his breath. He lifts his bound hands and focuses his energy, sending sparks into the air. They ignite into small bursts of flame that scatter across the floor, setting traps and creating obstacles. The minotaurs seem oblivious to the artifact's effects on Julius. They grunt and snarl, trying to overpower him with brute strength. But Julius is relentless, using every trick in his arsenal to stay one step ahead. A minotaur swings a club at him, and Julius ducks just in time, rolling to the side and coming up with both hands alight. He thrusts them forward, and the ground beneath the minotaur's feet gives way, causing it to fall into another hidden pit. I can see the frustration building in their eyes as they realize brute force isn't enough. Julius curses again at the shackles, but never stops moving. He's a whirlwind of fire and strategy, turning every disadvantage into an opportunity. One particularly large minotaur charges at him with a roar that shakes the very air. Julius stands his ground until the last possible second before leaping aside and igniting a wall of flame between them. The minotaur skids to a halt, momentarily blinded by the sudden blaze. "Keep coming," Julius growls, eyes blazing with determination. He sends another jet of fire spiralling towards an attacker, forcing it to retreat once more. Even with his magic limited by the cuffs, Julius fends off attacker after attacker with relentless precision. His movements are fluid, each one calculated to exploit their weaknesses while utilizing what little magic he can muster. I can't tear my eyes away from him. Even chained and cornered, he's a force to be reckoned with, a blend of raw power and strategic brilliance. His determination is palpable, each spell cast with a fierce resolve that sends shivers down my spine. Meanwhile, Razdin finds himself overwhelmed. Multiple minotaurs turn their attacks on him, their sheer size and strength an almost insurmountable challenge. He stands his ground, red fur bristling and muscles tensed, but it's clear he's struggling. A massive minotaur swings a club at Razdin, who barely ducks in time. The air vibrates with the force of the missed blow. Razdin counters with a swift punch to the beast's gut, but another attacker rams into him from the side, sending him sprawling. "Razdin!" I shout, panic tightening my throat. He rolls to his feet, blood dripping from a gash on his brow. "Stay back!" His voice is a guttural roar. Two minotaurs close in on him from opposite sides. Razdin charges the one on his left, his horns gleaming under the dim light. They clash with a thunderous impact, but before he can press his advantage, the second minotaur slams into him from behind. Razdin stumbles forward, grunting in pain. He swings wildly with his fists, managing to land a few blows, but he's clearly outnumbered and outmatched. "Julius!" I cry out again, hoping he'll see Razdin's dire situation. But Julius is locked in his own battle, flames dancing around him as he fends off attackers. His eyes meet mine for a brief moment, an instant of shared desperation, before he's forced to turn back to his own fight. The third minotaur joins the fray against Razdin, landing a heavy punch to his ribs. Razdin doubles over but doesn't fall. He snarls and rises again, defiant even as blood stains his fur. I watch in horror as Razdin, already exhausted, nearly collapses under the relentless assault. His red fur, once vibrant, now matted with sweat and blood. Each breath he takes seems to labour more than the last. "Razdin, hold on!" I scream, my voice cracking with desperation. A minotaur with a scar slashed across its face barrels into Razdin's side. He staggers but remains upright, swinging a fist that connects with the beast's jaw. The impact reverberates through the room, but Razdin's strength is visibly waning. Another minotaur takes advantage of his momentary lapse, bringing a heavy club down on his back. Razdin falls to his knees with a guttural cry. The sound twists my insides into knots. He struggles to rise, pushing against the ground with trembling arms. The minotaurs circle him like vultures, ready to deliver the final blow. I glance at Julius. He fights like a cornered animal, eyes blazing with newfound energy, but clearly aware of Razdin's peril. His flames keep the minotaurs at bay for now, but he's tethered by chains that limit his reach. "Savannah!" Julius shouts over the chaos, his voice laced with urgency. I know what he's asking without him saying it. Help Razdin. But how? My own magic feels like a wild beast inside me, unpredictable and untamed. Still, I can't stand by and do nothing. I need to help Razdin. But how? My own magic feels like a wild beast inside me, unpredictable and untamed. My heart pounds as I reach out, willing my magic to respond. Nothing. The familiar warmth that once surged through me remains elusive. Desperation claws at my insides as I watch Razdin struggle to rise, his breaths ragged and laboured. "Come on," I whisper to myself, my hands trembling. "Please, work." The Minotaur with the scar raises its club again, aiming for Razdin's head. Panic surges through me, hot and blinding. Razdin deflects the blow at the last second, causing the club to hit the floor next to his head. Dirt sprays into the air. "Razdin!" I gasp. "You have to get up." He groans, trying to push himself up again. Blood seeps from his wounds, staining the ground beneath him. The other Minotaurs close in, sensing victory. "Savannah!" Julius's voice cuts through the noise again. I look up at him, his eyes wide with worry and determination, and something in me snaps. An instinctual need to protect those I care about floods every part of me. "Come on!" I shout again at my magic, frustration boiling over. I feel a spark, just a tiny flicker, but it's enough to give me hope. With everything I have left, I focus on that spark, trying to coax it into something more. "I won't let you hurt them," I mutter through gritted teeth. But as hard as I try to summon more power, it remains out of reach, slipping through my fingers like water. My desperation turns to anguish, a gnawing ache in my chest as I realise how helpless we truly are. I glance at Razdin, his laboured breathing, the sweat glistening on his fur. I should be able to protect him. The Minotaurs draw closer, their cruel smiles taunting me, and all I can do is stand here, powerless.
There comes a time when you must sacrifice everything for something bigger than yourself.
My job was to kidnap her, not fall in love with her.
What if Julius had seen me use magic? He must never know.
What's happening to me? What's happening to my magic?
He would never understand. He'd see me as a liability, a risk too great to keep close.
When everything begins to fall apart, and the only remedy is to sacrifice your heart.
No, I can't let him find out.
I propose we take Dukan out of the picture, permanently.
Please, don't do this.
You will never escape me.
I can try.
You will fail.
And that time is now.
Savannah, run! Chapter 47. Julius. I grit my teeth, feeling the raw energy coursing through my veins, only to be dampened by the cold, unyielding chains binding me. The Minotaurs stomp around us, oblivious to the flickering power within me. Their guttural laughter grates on my nerves, and I glance at Savannah beside me. "Julius," she whispers, her voice barely audible over the din. "We need a plan." I nod, keeping my eyes on our captors. "I can't do much with these chains on," I mutter, frustration evident in my tone. Her eyes dart around the room, assessing our surroundings. "Maybe we can use their own strength against them," she suggests, a hint of desperation in her voice. "Like what?" I ask, raising an eyebrow. "Challenge them to a wrestling match?" Savannah's lips twitch into a small smile despite the tension. "Not quite, but if we can create enough of a distraction, maybe I can use my magic." "Your magic?" I repeat, frowning. "It's been unpredictable." "I know," she admits, her eyes meeting mine. "But it's all we've got." I take a deep breath, considering her words. The chains clink as I shift slightly, trying to gauge their strength. All right, I say finally. But we need to be careful. One wrong move and we're dead, she finishes for me. One of the Minotaurs glances our way, his beady eyes narrowing. We fall silent, holding our breaths until he turns away again. What kind of distraction are we talking about? I whisper once it's safe. Savannah's eyes light up with a mix of fear and determination. Something big, she says softly. Something they can't ignore. All right, I say again, though doubt gnaws at me. Let's hope they're as stupid as they look. Her hand brushes mine, a fleeting touch that sends warmth through the chain's cold grip. We'll get through this, she whispers. I want to believe her. For now, it's all we have. The Minotaurs continue their patrols, oblivious to the storm brewing between us, one that could either save us or doom us completely. And so we wait, biding our time for the perfect moment to strike back against our captors. A Minotaur's roar echoes through the chamber, followed by the clash of weapons and the shouts of combatants. The chaos outside masks any hope of coherent thought. My mind races, searching for a way to break free. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I catch a flicker of movement. Ronica emerges from the shadows, her slight form almost ethereal in the dim light. Savannah gasps softly beside me, her eyes widening in surprise. I glance at her, then back at Ronica. What is she doing here? Ronica raises a finger to her lips, signaling for silence. Her blue eyes gleam with urgency as she scans the room. The sounds of battle continue to rage outside, creating a cacophony that conceals her entrance. Ronica, I whisper, barely audible. She nods once, her expression serious. She moves closer to us, each step deliberate and silent. The air around her feels charged with unspoken tension. Savannah's eyes meet mine again, a mix of hope and confusion reflected in their depths. Can she help us? She mouths silently. Ronica kneels beside us, her hands hovering over the chains that bind us. For a moment she closes her eyes as if listening to something only she can hear. When she opens them again, there's a determination there that sends a spark of hope through me. I can't break these yet, Ronica whispers urgently. But I'm here to help. My heart sinks slightly at her words, but seeing her here, alive and willing to aid us, lifts my spirits. I nod in understanding. What do we do? Savannah asks quietly. Ronica glances toward the door where the sounds of battle grow louder and more chaotic. Wait for my signal, she says firmly. When the time is right, I'll create an opening. I clench my fists against the chains, frustration gnawing at me. We don't have much time, I mutter. I know, Ronica replies, her voice steady but soft. Trust me. The Minotaurs continue their patrols around us, oblivious to our whispered conversation. Every second feels like an eternity as we wait for Ronica's signal. The battle rages on outside, a constant reminder of the stakes at hand. Savannah's hand finds mine again, squeezing it tightly. We have no choice but to trust Ronica now. The chains bite into my wrists, each link a cold reminder of my helplessness. My eyes dart around the chamber, landing on Razdan, who struggles against a towering Minotaur. The brute raises his axe, ready to deliver a fatal blow. Panic surges through me. Ronica, now! I hiss through gritted teeth. Ronica's blue eyes narrow with determination. In a fluid motion, she unsheathes a gleaming sword from beneath her cloak and charges forward. Her movements are swift and precise, cutting through the chaos with lethal grace. The air hums with the promise of violence. The Minotaur's axe descends in slow motion. Razdan's eyes widen in terror. Then, like a flash of lightning, Ronica's blade intercepts the axe mid-swing. Metal clashes against metal, sparks flying in all directions. Get away from him! Ronica snarls, her voice carrying a weight of authority that belies her small stature. The Minotaur growls in response, momentarily taken aback by the sudden attack. He stumbles back, giving Ronica just enough space to maneuver. She twists her sword expertly and slashes across his chest. Blood sprays in an arc, painting the ground red. Savannah's hand tightens around mine as we watch in stunned silence. The room seems to shrink around us, every detail etched into my memory with painful clarity. Ronica doesn't stop. She presses her advantage, striking with a ferocity that leaves no room for mercy. Her sword becomes an extension of her will, each strike deliberate and deadly. The Minotaur roars in pain and fury, but can't match her speed and precision. Finally, with a guttural cry, Ronica drives her sword deep into the Minotaur's heart. The chamber falls eerily silent except for our ragged breaths and the distant sounds of battle outside. The Minotaur falls, its body collapsing with a thud. Razdan, panting and bloodied, stands over it, momentarily safe. Savannah and I let out a collective sigh of relief as Ronica pulls her sword from the lifeless body. The room feels charged, every breath filled with the metallic scent of blood and lingering tension. Ronica steps closer, her eyes narrowing as she inspects the chains binding me. Her fingers brush against the cold metal and she frowns. I can feel the ancient magic pulsing through the iron, a familiar, nauseating sensation that reminds me of my grandfather's oppressive lessons. "These are old," she mutters, more to herself than to us. "Ancient magic." Savannah's worry is etched in every line of her face, a stark contrast to the determined calm she usually exudes. She leans forward, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and desperation. "Can you help?" Ronica's eyes dart to mine, searching for something. Perhaps a sign of weakness or hidden strength. I offer her nothing but a cold, steady gaze. She straightens, her resolve hardening as she begins to trace the intricate runes embedded in the chains. Savannah's breath catches, a silent plea hanging in the air. Ronica looks up from the chains, her blue eyes meeting Savannah's brown ones. There's a moment of silence, heavy with unspoken questions and desperate hopes. "I'll try," Ronica says softly, determination evident in her tone. Her fingers move deftly over the chains, searching for weak points or hidden mechanisms. Savannah watches intently, biting her lip in anxiety. My own heart pounds in my chest, each beat echoing my need for freedom, for us to get out of this alive. As Ronica works, the sounds of distant battle fade into the background. It's just us now, a small island of focus in a sea of chaos. "Hang in there," Ronica murmurs without looking up. "We're almost through." I nod weakly, the chains still biting into my wrists. But for the first time since we were captured, I feel a flicker of hope. Ronica's touch is sure and steady as she examines the chains further, her concentration unwavering. Savannah's hand finds mine again, squeezing it gently, a silent promise that we'll get through this together. And so we wait, our breaths synchronized in anticipation, hoping that Ronica can indeed free us from these magic-blocking chains. As Ronica continues her meticulous inspection of my chains, Savannah's gaze shifts between us, her hope palpable yet fragile. "Please," Savannah whispers again, voice trembling with a mix of fear and determination. "We need to get out of here." Ronica glances up briefly and gives a reassuring nod before resuming her work on the chains that bind me.
Chapter 48. Savannah. Julius's magic flares, casting a harsh orange glow over the chaos. His chains clatter to the ground, thanks to Ronica's swift intervention. He rises, eyes blazing with renewed vigour. "Stay close," he commands, his voice steady despite the turmoil. Razdan grunts in agreement, already grappling with a minotaur twice his size. The air thickens with the scent of burning flesh and the metallic tang of blood. Ronica, her eyes intense and unyielding, darts forward, blade flashing in the dim light. "Focus on their weak points," she shouts over the din. "Their armour can't cover everything." I watch Julius engage a towering minotaur, his movements fluid and precise, Flames dance around his fists as he lands blow after blow. The Minotaur roars in pain but does not falter. My heart pounds as I realise their resistance to magic. "Julius, they're not going down easy," I yell, trying to keep my voice steady. He nods, understanding flashing in his eyes. Then we adapt. With a swift motion, he switches from fire to brute force, using his enhanced strength to drive his fist into the Minotaur's exposed side. The creature staggers but remains upright. Rannika joins him, her sword slicing through the air with deadly accuracy. She ducks under a swinging axe and drives her blade into a gap in the Minotaur's armour. It bellows in agony but still fights on. Razdin roars as he takes down one of their foes with a bone-crunching punch. Blood splatters across his red fur, making him look even more fearsome. These bastards don't know when to quit. Julius dodges another swing and counters with a fire-infused punch that sends his opponent reeling back. "We need to take them out one by one," he growls through gritted teeth. Together, they form an unstoppable trio, Julius's fiery ferocity, Razdin's raw power, and Rannika's razor-sharp precision. They move like a well-oiled machine, each action complementing the other's strengths and covering their weaknesses. The Minotaur's resistance is formidable, but Julius doesn't relent. He combines physical strikes with bursts of flame aimed at their unprotected areas. The room fills with heat and light as he fights relentlessly beside Razdin and Rannika. "Are you okay?" Julius asks, his voice tinged with worry. His fiery eyes search mine, scanning for any sign of injury. I nod quickly, but my heart seizes as I spot another Minotaur charging toward him. "Look out!" I scream, pointing frantically. Julius spins around, raising his hand to unleash a wave of fire. The flames burst forth, enveloping the Minotaur in a searing inferno. But the beast barely flinches, its thick hide only slightly singed. "Damn it," Julius mutters under his breath, realising direct attacks won't work. He shifts tactics, aiming his spells at the environment instead. With a swift motion, he melts the ground beneath the Minotaur's feet, turning it into a pool of molten rock. The creature bellows in surprise as it sinks into the scorching trap, struggling to free itself. Rannika and Razdin continue their relentless assault on the remaining Minotaurs. Razdin's powerful frame slams into another attacker, sending it crashing into the wall. Rannika's blade flashes as she fends off two more with swift, precise strikes. Julius focuses his magic on manipulating the environment further. He conjures pillars of stone from the ground, using them to block and divert the Minotaur's movements. Each wave of his hand brings another obstacle, another barrier to slow them down. The chamber is a cacophony of roars and clashing steel. Sweat beads on Julius's forehead as he pours all his energy into controlling the battlefield. His eyes meet mine briefly, a silent reassurance passing between us. A Minotaur breaks through one of Julius's barriers and charges straight at me. My breath catches in my throat as I brace for impact, but Julius reacts with lightning speed, summoning a wall of flame that forces the beast to veer off course. "Stay back," he shouts, his voice commanding and fierce. I obey, retreating further as Julius continues to manipulate the environment around us. He collapses parts of the ceiling onto advancing Minotaurs and opens fissures in the ground to trap their heavy hooves. My head swims, the edges of my vision blurring as I lean against the cold, rough wall, trying to steady myself. Every breath feels like it's drawn through a straw, and my limbs are leaden. Julius and the others continue their fierce battle, but their movements seem distant, like shadows in a dream. "Savannah!" Julius's voice cuts through the haze. He's fighting with all his might, but there's worry in his eyes every time he glances my way. I want to call out to him, reassure him, but my throat constricts. I try to summon my magic, willing it to surge through me as it has before. But nothing happens. My hands remain inert at my sides, trembling with weakness. Panic flares in my chest, threatening to consume me. "Focus," I whisper to myself, closing my eyes and trying to calm the storm inside me. The sounds of battle rage on, clashing steel, roars of pain and fury. But they seem muffled now, like they're happening underwater. I can't stay here. I need to move. But my legs refuse to cooperate. I push off from the wall, stumbling forward a few steps before collapsing onto my knees. The stone floor is cool against my fevered skin. I sense something is terribly wrong within me. My magic, my lifeline, is slipping away like sand through fingers, and without it, I'm just a burden. Julius catches sight of me struggling, and his face hardens with determination. "Stay with us," he commands, fire flaring from his fists as he pummels another minotaur. I nod weakly, though every fibre of my being screams that I can't hold on much longer. As the battle continues, Savannah's vision starts to blur, and she feels like she's about to pass out. The lightheadedness increases as she tries to stay focused on the battle, but it's getting harder to stay alert. My vision blurs at the edges, darkening with each passing second. I press my hand against the cold wall, trying to ground myself, but the sensation slips away like water through my fingers. Each breath is a struggle, the air thick and unyielding. "Julius!" I call out, but my voice is barely a whisper against the roar of the battle. He's too far, too caught up in the chaos to hear me. His magic flares bright and fierce, but I can see the strain on his face. Every move he makes looks like it takes more effort than it should. I blink, trying to clear my vision. The minotaurs are relentless, their massive forms moving with surprising agility. Ranika's blade flashes and Razdin's fists strike with bone-crushing force. But it's not enough. They're being overwhelmed. I need to help them. I try to summon my magic again, reaching deep within myself for that familiar spark of power. But it's gone, flickering out like a dying ember. Panic grips me tighter as I realize how helpless I am without it. "Stay with us." Julius's voice cuts through the haze again, more desperate this time. He's glancing my way more often now, worry etched into every line of his face. "I'm trying," I murmur, but it feels like a lie even to me. My legs buckle beneath me and I drop to one knee, gasping for air that won't come. The battle sounds become distant, muffled, as if I'm underwater. My heartbeat pounds in my ears, each thud echoing through my skull. The room spins faster and faster until I can't tell up from down anymore. "Savannah!" Ranika's voice is urgent, slicing through the fog in my mind. She's close now, fending off minotaurs with desperate ferocity. "I'm fine," I lie again, forcing myself to stand despite the darkness creeping into my vision. But even as I say it, I know it's not true. My body is betraying me when I need it most. A minotaur breaks through our defences and charges at me. My instincts scream at me to move, to dodge, but my limbs are sluggish and unresponsive. Julius's fire flares once more, creating a barrier between me and the oncoming beast. "Stay back," he shouts again, but his voice is fading too. I try to obey, to retreat further from the fight, but each step feels heavier than the last, and the world continues to darken around me. I collapse against the wall again, my strength nearly gone. Julius and Ranika fight on valiantly, their movements blurred shadows in my dimming vision. I can't hold on much longer. Breathe in, breathe out. Just keep breathing.
Rosenfire, our family holds great weight and power in Orthani, and yet I hear whispers.
Do you think he can take him?
There is no way that this could happen.
No, more books. I can't remain locked in this ivory tower a moment longer.
She's perfect. The Baron's daughter must be found.
Julius, we shouldn't.
Why shouldn't we?
I am not a full dark elf. I do not possess their ethereal beauty. How will I find a mate?
The lowly Baron's son apparently has shown that he has the same gift of fire wielding as I, if not stronger.
I am the family's dirty little secret. I am not the future of the family. Dukan is.
This world was created from a seed of evil.
I propose we take Dukan out of the picture. Permanently.
Please, let me go.
If you want to join the poor humans who are bought and sold in the markets on a daily basis, you will find a way to get there.
I am free, and I am terrified.
You will never escape me.
I can try.
You will fail. Get seasons 1 and 2 of the Dark Elf series from worldsofprothika.com.
Prothika's magic is eternal. This series will show you why.
Chapter 49. Julius. The clash of steel and the roar of battle fill the air. I dodge a charging minotaur, rolling to my feet as Razdan slams into it with a brutal tackle. His horns gore the creature's side, sending it crashing into a nearby pillar. "Keep them off me!" I shout, raising my hands. The ground trembles beneath my feet as I channel my magic into the earth. Spikes of stone shoot up from the ground, creating a barrier between us and the remaining minotaurs. Ronica darts in and out of the shadows, her movements swift and calculated. She grabs a loose piece of debris and hurls it at one of the minotaurs, striking its head and causing it to stumble. "Over here!" The minotaur bellows in rage, charging after her. I seize the opportunity, focusing my energy on the ceiling above it. With a crack, a chunk of rock dislodges and crashes down, pinning the beast to the ground. Razdan barrels through another minotaur, his fists flying in a flurry of powerful blows. The creature tries to counterattack, but Razdan's relentless assault leaves it no room to breathe. He grabs its arm and twists, bones snapping under his grip. "Two more!" Ronica calls out from behind me. She's already moving to intercept another minotaur, distracting it with a series of feints and taunts. I summon a wall of fire to block its path, forcing it to turn towards Razdan. He takes advantage of its confusion, tackling it with all his might. They crash to the ground in a tangle of limbs and fury. Ronica circles around me, eyes sharp as she assesses the battlefield. "One left," she says. The last minotaur stands before us, its chest heaving with exertion. It locks eyes with me, hatred burning in its gaze. I raise my hands once more, drawing on every ounce of strength left in me. The ground beneath it splits open, swallowing its legs up to the knees. It struggles to free itself, but Razdan is already upon it. He wraps his massive arms around its neck and twists until there's an audible snap. Silence falls over the chamber, broken only by our ragged breaths. The minotaurs lie defeated around us, their bodies still as stone. "We did it," I whisper, disbelief mingling with relief. My legs tremble as I sink to my knees, exhaustion crashing over me like a wave. Razdan leans against the nearest pillar, his chest heaving with each breath. Blood mats his fur, but he doesn't seem to notice. "They're relentless," he mutters, wiping sweat from his brow. Ronica crouches beside a fallen minotaur, checking for any signs of life. Satisfied it's truly down, she stands and stretches, her movements slow and deliberate. "We're lucky to be alive," she says, her voice tinged with fatigue. I nod, too drained to speak. The adrenaline that kept me going now ebbs away, leaving only weariness in its wake. My magic feels spent, a hollow ache where power once surged. Razdan limps over to me, extending a hand. "You all right?" "Just tired," I say, accepting his help. He hauls me to my feet with surprising gentleness for someone so massive. Ronica joins us, her sharp eyes scanning the chamber for any remaining threats. "We need to move," she says. "This place won't stay safe for long." "Agreed," Razdan replies. "But we need a moment." We settle against the cool stone walls, the rough texture grounding me in reality. For a brief moment, the world feels still, the chaos of battle replaced by an almost eerie calm. I close my eyes and let out a long breath. "Thanks," I murmur to both of them. Their presence feels like a lifeline in this madness. Ranika offers a small smile. We're in this together. Razdan grunts in agreement but doesn't speak further. He looks at me with something close to respect, a far cry from our initial hostility. We sit in silence, catching our breath and gathering strength for whatever comes next. The air smells of sweat and blood, but also of something more hopeful. Survival. For now, that's enough. A flash of movement catches my eye. I turn and see Savannah slumped against the cave wall, her face pale and eyes half closed. Panic seizes my heart. Savannah! I rush to her side, kneeling down and pulling her into my arms. Her skin feels cold and clammy, her breaths shallow and uneven. Stay with me, I whisper, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her eyelids flutter, but she barely responds. Savannah, please. Her lips part, a faint murmur escaping them. Julius, Shh, don't talk, I say, holding her closer. Fear tightens around my chest like a vice. She looks like she's on the brink of death, and I have no idea how to help her. Ronica hurries over, her expression grim as she kneels beside us. What's happening to her? I ask, my voice cracking. Ronica places a hand on Savannah's forehead, closing her eyes for a moment. She's exhausted. But it's more than that, she mutters. Her magic is unstable. I grit my teeth, frustration boiling inside me. How do we fix it? Ronica shakes her head slowly. I don't know. This kind of magic is beyond my understanding. Razdan joins us, his massive form casting a shadow over Savannah's fragile one. He looks down at her with concern etched into his features. We need to get her out of here, he says. We can't move her like this, I snap back, desperation lacing my words. Razdan's eyes meet mine, understanding and worry mingling in his gaze. Then we need to find another way. I cradle Savannah against me, feeling helpless as her breathing grows more labored. Every second that passes feels like an eternity. Her life is slipping away while I sit here unable to do anything about it. Please, I whisper again, though I'm not sure who I'm pleading with. Savannah or whatever gods might be listening. She stirs slightly in my arms, her eyes fluttering open just enough to meet mine. For a moment, there's a flicker of recognition in them before they drift shut again. Savannah's breaths come shallow and uneven, each one a struggle. Her skin is ashen, her lips tinged with blue. I tighten my grip on her, willing my own warmth to seep into her. Stay with me, I whisper, my voice trembling as I fight to keep the panic from overtaking me. Don't you dare leave me. My heart pounds in my chest, each beat a desperate plea. I tighten my grip on her, feeling the fragility of her life slipping through my fingers. The world around us fades, leaving only the sound of her labored breaths. Ronica crouches beside us, her eyes wide with concern. We need to find a safe place to rest, she says, her tone urgent yet steady. Where? I snap, desperation clawing at my throat. There's nowhere safe around here. Razdan surveys the surroundings, his forehead creased in concentration. This room will suffice for the moment, he remarks. However, we should be prepared to relocate if circumstances shift. I nod, my focus entirely on Savannah. Her eyelids flutter but don't fully open. I can feel her slipping away, and it terrifies me more than any battle ever could. Ronica places a hand on my shoulder. We need to keep her stable, she says softly. You need to stay calm for her. Calm? I laugh bitterly, the sound harsh and grating. I shake my head, feeling a surge of frustration and helplessness. How can I be calm when she's like this? Every second counts, and I can feel her slipping further away. My fists clench involuntarily, the urge to unleash my power barely restrained. Because she needs you, Ronica replies firmly. her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that brooks no argument. Now more than ever, if you fall apart, so will she. Her words cut through the fog of panic clouding my mind. I take a deep breath and nod, forcing myself to focus. We'll get through this, Razdan adds, his voice surprisingly gentle. Together. I look up at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. Despite everything that's happened, I know he's right. All right, I say, my voice steadier now. Let's do this. Ronica begins gathering supplies from our packs, while Razdan keeps watch at the entrance of the chamber. I hold Savannah close, murmuring reassurances into her ear, even though I'm not sure she can hear me. We're going to find a way, I tell her softly. I promise. In a world of elves, demons, and liches.
What would you choose?
Power?
Or passion?
Would you stab the monster in the back?
Or take him to bed?
The Immersive Fantasy audiobook bundle has it all.
Go to worldsofprathika.com to get access.
Use code YouTube30 to get an additional 30% off.
Prathika's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.